how to add structured data that Google supports to your WordPress site or any website really. In this video session, I'm going to show you two different ways that you should definitely use to add structured data to your website. Why is that? Why should you use structured data for Google's rich results? Because you may have seen that Google search experiences are changing. And Google encourages website owners to use structured data so that you can take advantage of Google's rich results. So how do you then add structured data to your website, whether it's WordPress, Shopify or others? The easiest way to take advantage of structured data that Google supports is by using schema markup plugins or applications. Or, depending on the type of website that you have, let's imagine you're creating blog posts. Then you may want to include article or blog posting. If you have news-related website, then news article. First thing to do, whether you're using apps or schema markup plugins, is look at the documentation and whatever structured data type that is ideal for your website, let's say articles, then search for a keyword required within this page. Because structured data has guidelines, and for Google to pick up the schema markup, at minimum, we need to have required properties. For article, there are no required properties, but there are recommended properties that you may want to use. Let's say you're a local business owner. Then you can add local business markup. Search for required properties on this page itself. And at minimum, have the required properties. And you look at recommended properties and say, okay, which one is appropriate? Because some of them may be appropriate for a local business markup and some may not be. While here, let me show you local features that you may want to read through and perhaps gain some insights for local features as well. Whether it's top place list, whether it's business details, and so on, okay? So now let's take a look. Let's say courses as an example. Let's say you do publish courses on your website. Then looking at the required fields and some examples, you may mark up your website manually if you want, because that's okay. Or you can use plugins to add the schema markup. As long as you have the required properties, Google will pick it up if it's valid schema markup type. Let's imagine recipe as an example only. Same principles apply. You can look at the examples. There is JSON LD format and microdata format. So let's look at frequently asked questions because I can then show you both examples. At minimum, you can actually grab this code. That's the markup. Right? So then you can say, okay, you know what? I have a frequently asked questions page. And you just add that in there. Okay, that's the question. So that's one question and answer. And then looking at the required fields, main entities required. For the answer, we need to have these two. So the example actually has both of them in place. So then you may say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to change the question and I'm just going to change the answer. let's say frequently asked questions. That's a single page. But using schema markup plugins or applications, adding certain schema markup types may be much easier. Okay, so adding schema markup types, all you need to do is just look at the examples, look at the required fields, and double check recommended fields. Now that's the easy way to add structured data, by using plugins and looking at the examples. But since you're learning with Rankia, I'm going to show you a better way to add schema markup. Because plugins or applications for schema markup, it may be helpful, but there is a better way. And better way is nesting. What does that mean? Let's look at a typical contact page. I'm going to press on the keyboard Ctrl-U to bring out the source code. Better way is you can mark up beginning from HTML element, and then certain parts of a website. Let's say the navigation menu can have breadcrumb list, site navigation element, or header section can be marked up as web page header. Because web page elements can be different data types. We're looking at schema.org page. We can have footer section, sidebar, site navigation element. These are all part of web page elements. So for a WordPress, the best way to add schema markup is by adding it to your theme, as in coding it. Usually header.php, you can mark up the HTML code conditionally to say if it's the main domain itself, that's a website. If it's a typical page, let's say a typical page, then that is a web page. If it's a contact page, it's a contact page. If it's about us page, it's about page. If it is categories, tags, that's a collection page. If it's search results page, it's search results page. Okay. Now, let's take a look. I'll show you what that means. Let's say contact page. That's the schema markup. Now, at this moment, Google doesn't really support this for rich results. That doesn't mean you shouldn't add that. Because when you want to optimize your website, you want to have a semantic HTML. As we can see, we can have checkout page, great for e-commerce sites. For a checkout page, you can mark up the HTML itself, begin from there. That's a better way. Okay, so I'll show you some code. Don't be overwhelmed. These will definitely require technical skills. But for a typical website theme, you can code it with structured data so that everything is done perhaps automatically, instead of you going in trying to mark up things each time you add new content. You can also utilize accessibility features by using meta tags as well. As I've said, begin from HTML, look at accessibility API features or accessibility control features. You can provide copyright information within the head portion of HTML. Then, because we're working with WordPress, depending on what theme that you're using, you may want to add Okay, where are we? Because this theme that I'm using, which is an Astra theme, that actually adds web page header section automatically. So much will depend on the theme that you're using as well. If the theme is adding this automatically, great. But most themes do not modify the HTML, and that's where you want to begin. Because when you understand how HTML works and how Google analyzes the web page in its entirety, when you begin from HTML, you're basically nesting everything else within the HTML. That includes product schema markup that Google actually supports. Let's go back. And some themes may add this automatically as well, depending on the website content management system and the theme that you're using. So ideally you want to automate things, and you can code your theme if it's not coded already. Let's imagine a typical footer section. The footer div can be complementary. Let's take a look. A web page footer. Okay. So basically take a look at the examples that is appropriate for your website. As I've said, at minimum, you can use schema markup plugins or applications. Ideally, you want to automate the process so that you can continue on creating content instead of adding schema markup manually all the time. Double check the required fields and look at the examples. If you have the technical skills, then you can code from HTML. For blog posting, I'll show you what I've done and what I use on my own website. I'm just created a function that pulls out certain information and automatically blurts out schema markup for blog posts. I'll show you rank your site because that's coded better. I've added courses markup as well using functions and manual coding, because at the end of the day, you're not going to have 100,000 courses, right? You're going to have 3, 4, 5, 10. So you may want to perhaps manually code that and blurt it out on the courses page. Then what do? There's 2 testers that you need to double check. I'll show you rank your website because, as I've said, that's coded much better. Let's imagine this one here. Let's test that URL. So we can paste the URL and run the test. That's one way. The other way is press on Ctrl-U on the keyboard, Ctrl-A to select all, Ctrl-C to copy, and then you can actually do this too. You can put the code and run the test. You can grab sample codes from here. Let's copy that because I'll show you a different method. Let's say code. Run the test for a product markup as an example, because not everyone uses WordPress, correct? And here you can just modify the content according to your product. So that's another way you can do it. Let's say for courses information, we could have easily done that too. Let's say, do they have example here? Yes, they do. Let's copy that. Let's say you were sharing course markup. Let's remove the head portion. We'll just grab the script. and run the test on a script for a course markup, because I'll show you this example as well that you may consider using. So then it's just a matter of changing the example details, and once you modify everything, just copy that and place it on the courses page, for example. But that's a script for WordPress. You probably cannot run this like so. That's why it's sometimes better to use functions or shortcodes for WordPress. So now I've just shared with you different methods that you may want to consider using. The reason I'm going through many different angles is because structured data is a complex subject. Because Google supports certain data types doesn't mean you can not use others. In this example, that's a sample URL. Everything here is nested. That means they all work together. That's the mastery of schema markup tutorials by Rankia, because no plugins or applications can do this. Because what plugins or schema markup applications do, they simply just allow you to add a chunk of code that works by itself. And yet when you learn to nest it, then all of these data types, they complement one another. And that's how it's meant to be done at a professional level. Because this one page itself, it has article markup, more details about the article. Then it has courses info, as in there's a markup. Okay, we're phasing out support for a few structured data types, that's no problem. As I've said, just because Google doesn't support certain types doesn't mean you should not use it. Then breadcrumbs, usually most themes add this by default. Then there's frequently asked sections on that page itself. As you can see, that page is about SEO training course that is for free on Rankia website. And all these questions are related to search engine optimization. Now, that is how it's meant to be done on professional level. Then, within Search Console, if you're using it, under Enhancement Reports, you'll see courses info, discussion forum, frequently asked questions, snippets, but they don't work by themselves, although the reports show them individually. For this website, I have coded the theme itself, starting from HTML, and that's a blog info. Let's take a look at this. There's image object there. There's a lot of information, same as connecting social media profiles so that Google can better understand the website or the business. Looking at examples here, you can see different data types. Now, that's rich results tester, but schema markup also has a validator that you definitely want to use as well. Run the test and see. As you can see, there's video object there for YouTube embeds. There's a blog with more information. That's very complex schema markup I've added. The reason I'm showing this is because I want you to understand the importance of nesting, because when you do that, then everything works together. It provides better semantics for search engines so they can understand the entire web page itself. Then there is one more tool that professionals may want to explore. Let's say you're a web developer or SEO professional. Then there is structured data. Okay, Facebook also supports Open Graph Protocol. So if you're marketing heavily on Facebook, you may want to explore that. Where is the linter? Okay, let's take a look. Okay, I'll show you this one final tool that it's called structured data linter. So that's another tester here. You may provide the URL for your website or different parts of your website. You can upload a file or even directly insert the code and let this run the test to show you more details. So you've got rich results tester that you can explore. You've got schema.org data types, and you can add more schema markup types and also use a validator here. And structured data linter may show you more information about the data types your theme is using. And you always want to make sure you check Google Search Console enhancement reports to see if your schema markup type is valid. So, easiest way to add schema markup that Google supports is by using a plugin or an app. That's the simple way, because at minimum that's what you want to do. You want to at least have some schema markup types. You can manually look at the examples from Google and add things manually. That's another way. But the best way is by adding it from the theme code, so everything is perhaps automated. Now, if you follow these insights and make sure you definitely use structured data, because Google supports it and it's going to drive more website traffic. Furthermore, it's going to better understand your entire website and your web pages and your blog posts or your products. Meaning, if Google encourages you to use it, like, why not use it? Because ideally you want to drive more website traffic and you want to take advantage of free website traffic that Google will bring. That is how you add structured data to a WordPress site or any website or content management system, whether it's Shopify or others and so on. I thank you for learning with Rankia. If you benefited from this video session, please do give it a like and share it. If you've got any questions or comments, use the video commenting section, and I'll talk with you in the next video session.